So you want a Hayabusa? Well, too bad. You're not ready. Go away, just click off this video right now. You're not only disrespecting
the Busa,
but you're disrespecting yourself. No one can decide they're ready to own a Hayabusa. You must first attempt a perilous journey through the seedy underbellies of Craigslist, where you enter a rosy-cheeked squidlet and leave a deeply changed person. A Busa will select you when it's ready. You can only stare at so many stretched jigsters and airbrushed Busas before madness takes, but if you should come out on the other side with your mind intact, then and only then are you ready for the honor, nay, the responsibility of owning a Hayabusa. Is he gone? Okay, that guy was weirding me out. 100% he was going to show up in the comments asking me if you should get a Ninja 400 or an R3 as his starter bike, but as you can probably tell, this week's So You Want A is all about the Busa. So we're going to take a much deeper dive and uncover the true origins of this most patrician of sport bikes, discuss the evolution and division that has occurred between the Busa boys and Hayabusa men, and prove once and for all that the Turbo Hayabusa is and will always be the best beginner bike ever made. Strap yourselves in, my children. We're in for one heck of a ride this week. While you're at it though, you should probably strap in your phone too. The dang modern smartphones cost as much as one wretched Craigslist ship bike, and all they do is talk to space. I mean, come on, at least with the ship bike you purchase hundreds of hours of character building sessions in the garage, but no, you have to have a shiny new smartphone so you could send your TikToks and do the Twitters. So you got to protect that investment with the warm embrace of a Rockform phone case. It swaddles your phone in the finest impact-resistant plastics and rubbers, drop tested from 6 feet so you can basically just yeet your phone right into the ground, and rest assured that it's going to come out just fine. Actually, don't yeet your phone into the ground. That's a bad idea. The big brain move is to place it gently in the Rockform handlebar mount, which will lock your phone in place firmer than your lady when she friend-zoned you for not shutting up about Hayabusas. I feel your pain, my young squid. But that's why we're offering this lovely phone case and phone mount combo for 25% off just for you. Yes, you watching this video when you should be at work. Click that link below, use the code YN25 to get yourself that Friends of Yami discount off your Rockform mount. Thanks to them for supporting the weirdness we do here and all these Hayabusa related memes. Now, the Hayabusa. You've probably heard some stories about this fabled machine's creation. The common narrative is that this was the bike to end the speed wars, but that's actually only half true. The fact is that the Hayabusa was first formed in the mind of a meditating monk high upon the peaks of Mount Fuji. This monk was pondering the nature of speed, and the story goes that he was given a vision of some time in the future in which a man, clad in a white tank top, cargo shorts, and flip-flops with tips so frosty white that you could not gaze upon them, spooled up his turbo and took off on a Florida highway. He gracefully dodged alligators and meth labs until he reached the top speed. He transformed into a peregrine falcon and soared off into the sunset. The monk knew then that his purpose in life was to create the world's greatest motorcycle. He spent the next 40 years of his life slowly carving the elegant curves of this motorcycle out of granite, pulled straight from the heart of the mountain, and when he finished, he wept, for he knew deep down that no other bike could possibly outshine his creation. However, what he had was just the mold, a model upon which he could build the perfect riding machine. So he brought his creation to the Big Four. Honda turned their nose up to this marvel, thinking that their CB1100 XX Super Blackbird could never be beaten. Yamaha just flat out rejected the monk's offer, having been seduced by the notion of small supersports making a paltry 120 horsepower. Kawasaki was too busy building Ninja 250s to even attend the summit, did not RSVP, and left only humble Suzuki, cursed by their own racing success, into making the same GSX-R 750 year after year. The monk took pity on Suzuki and offered them his creation under the condition that it be named the Hayabusa after the Falcon in his vision. In 1999, the first iteration of the Busa was released. Suzuki gave it a 1298cc inline-4 engine capable of making 175 horsepower and 102 foot-pounds of torque. We here at Yami Noob love triple-digit numbers for horsepower and torque. The bike weighed in at 551 pounds and was not cursed with the original sin of carburetors. For a mere $10,499, anyone could purchase this legendary machine and attempt to reach its top speed. For years, no one had the nerve, afraid of what happens after a motorcycle reaches 200 miles an hour. Motorcycle News reached 190, Cycle World did 194, and Sport Rider could only imagine a pathetic 189 miles per hour. No one was worthy until some mad lad decided he was going to slap a turbo on his Busa and blow everyone's nips clean off with an unbridled show of speed. He had to wrangle that much power. He needed a 19-foot chrome swing arm, monster truck tire, and a shot of NOS, but that day, the Bonneville Salt Flats, he reached 264 miles per hour. The only twist of the tale is that he was a she. Becky Ellis, the world's fastest woman. Her Busa put down 650 horsepower and runs on 119 octane fuel. How's that for big dick energy? In 2007, Suzuki improved on perfection with the Gen 2 Hayabusa, updated with new bodywork and bored out to 1340 cc's. This bike made 196 horsepower and 114 foot-pounds of torque. It was heavier than the first generation, 586 pounds, but this bike did feature a slipper clutch, power modes, Brembo calipers, and ABS as standard. It did cost a whole lot more at $14,599, and if you ask me, this is just a watered-down Busa. The first one had no rider aids whatsoever, a simple cable actuated throttle, no traction control, nothing to get in the way of you and sport bike perfection. The brakes are more of a gentle suggestion. The suspension might hold the line if the sun and the moon and the planets are all aligned, and the official motto of the Gen 1 Hayabusa is, "You will die like a man." And as we will talk about later in this video as well, the Gen 1 Hayabusa took to boost much more easily than the Gen 2. The Gen 1 was an understressed, big, bad displacement engine that had a lower compression ratio, meaning you could literally slap 10 pounds of boost on that thing without changing anything at all and make yourself 250 wheel horsepower. The same cannot be said for the Gen 2 Busa. Now, this is the birth of the Busa, but a curious thing has happened over the years. There was a division in the house of Busa. One day, a group of riders took all the components used for making the Hayabusa excel at top speed runs, then only rode their bikes on the street. They traded their souls for chrome and can be easily spotted by their airbrushed paint jobs, typically a naked lady or a whole bunch of skulls and skeletons or dragons or wizards or any kind of weird things. They flaunted the traditional safe rider's apparel, relying solely on the impact absorption of their upside-down visor. They were cast out for not respecting the bike, for putting their own fragile egos before the honor of the mighty Hayabusa, and formed their own coalition of riders with no taste. So as to not be confused with the others, they shortened the name from Hayabusa to Busa and became something else entirely. This is why you will only see two types of people in a Hayabusa. One in full gear on a stock bike who was all about the Hayabusa life, and the other in jorts on some stretched and lowered bike. If you don't believe me, try this out for yourself. Open a tab in your computer, go to Google or whatever your preferred search engine might be, and type in Hayabusa and look at the image results. Now open another tab, probably incognito if we're being honest, and search for Busa. You may notice that there's some very obvious differences there. The real question is though, who is more true to the monk's original vision? Do the Hayabusa men, who respect the machine, only respect Suzuki's interpretation of that vision? Or do the Busa boys, who more closely resemble the rider from the vision, have the right to it? It's a question that hits at the heart of what it means to be a Hayabusa owner, and even I struggle with this. My own bike, which I unironically own at this point, tends towards the Busa with its lights and its speakers and the Yami-chan proudly displayed for all to see, yet my swing arm is stock, the engine remains unturboed, and I don't do fat with a PH top speed pulls. Needless to say, this crisis of identity keeps me up at night. Now, I know why you're watching this video. Yep, I'm talking to you again. I knew you wouldn't click off when I told you to. You're watching this video because you're actually thinking about taking the plunge into Hayabusa ownership. Now, there's two avenues through which you can get started. The first is to go to a dealership and buy a Gen 2 Hayabusa. This bike is more for the aspiring Hayabusa men. Its modern features make it easier to tame, the bike is in a higher state of tune so it doesn't take well to boosting as we mentioned, and the bike itself is generally too clean. Hacking it up into a Busa boy machine will require you to sacrifice a bit of your soul at first. Just know that you're signing up for a life of white knighting for the Hayabusa. Whenever someone on the internet makes fun of your glorious steed, you will be called forth to defend its honor. When they say it's ugly, you'll be there to say their 600 is for wimps. When you say it can't corner, you'll be there to insinuate that they simply don't have the balls to push the bike to its limit. How do I know? Look at the comment section of this video. The Hayabusa handles like a beached whale, and its brakes suck ass. See right there? The Hayabusa men down in the comments tapping away, just like I said. The next choice is to buy a used Hayabusa. Now, if you buy used, you either want to pick up the torch of a Hayabusa man to keep the light in the fight, or you want to join the Busa boys. You have two routes to go here. If you are planning to go to the dark side, here's a quick checklist you will need before you even become a basic Busa boy. First, you're going to need a longer swing arm. You probably just drained your bank account trying to buy this bike, so you're going to want a bolt-on swing arm extension. Next, you want a light kit. The cheaper the better. You can find a veritable smorgasbord of lights on Amazon, but make sure that you get one that reacts to music. Finally, you have to have some sort of custom paint job. It may start as a wrap, but you can't leave the stock colorway. To ascend to the next level, you're going to want a Brox system. It has to be a Brox exhaust. If it's not a Brox exhaust, don't at me if you don't have a Brox exhaust system. 300 section or wider rear tire, and a turbo. Don't worry, you'll get your Busa branded flip-flops in the mail. Finally, you can also purchase a used Busa Boy Busa. This is for the to-the-bone, die-hard Busa Boy. You have no idea what a real motorcycle looks like because there's only ever been one bike for you. You better make sure you have $13,000 cash or else you're not getting this bike. The last thing I want to cover today is the notion of starting on a Hayabusa. Now, normally you might hear me say things like, oh, get a small bike, spend a year on it, then upgrade to something like a 600 or 650. But the correct choice has and will always be getting a turbo Busa as your first motorcycle. It's going to give you plenty of power to have fun with. It's not too fast for the street, and it's a playful motorcycle. You'll be able to grow with the bike too, since the turbo takes a little bit to spool up. You can just keep it under a little bit of pounds of boots and then slowly work your way through the rev limits. It's just like keeping a leader bike in D mode. It's really the best platform to teach you throttle control because unlike a 300, you'll actually have consequences to your actions. You'll be able to pick the bike's speed up, and in doing so develop a keen understanding of how to apply the throttle. It's also not a bike you're going to grow out of, since all riders eventually end up on a turbo Busa. You're just ahead of the game. Really, you just save a bunch of money that you would have otherwise wasted on inferior leader bikes that don't even make 200 horsepower. Go forth and enjoy your turbo Busa, young squidlet. May your nooners be dank and your boost be high. All shit posting aside, the Hayabusa is a very strange motorcycle to ride and own. Because I live in the darkest timeline possible, I do own a Hayabusa myself, which is a very strange thing to tell the internet, but here we are. Compared to other motorcycles, the first thing you're going to notice on a Busa is just how big it is. It is literally jet ski sized and is incredibly imposing to ride. Once you twist the throttle on a Gen 1 Busa, it will redefine your sense of speed as you quickly bury the needle and watch the speedometer climb like nothing you've ever experienced before. Although the Hayabusa is slower than the current modern crop of leader bikes in a straight line, its sense of speed is actually something that is incredibly unique on that motorcycle. Because it has an enormously huge engine, the sense of torque from down low is like very few things you'll experience. The Hayabusa is also shaped in a way that you feel like you have infinite top speeds. That's the difference between something like a 600 or a 1000 and the Hayabusa, is that although some of those bikes are faster than the Busa, either around track or in a straight line, the Busa's top speed is kind of unmatched. And again, the potential for boost on the Gen 1 Busa is kind of ridiculous. If you are looking at being a true Busa boy or a Hayabusa man, you know what you're about, and you don't even need to watch this video because you know that the Hayabusa is the only bike for you. So real bummer, this video is actually over, but you're in luck. There are hundreds of other Yami Noob videos you can go and check out. Hit this one right over here. Watch it. Do it for Yami-chan.